Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Buck Marksman. This is not a new knife. This particular example is not a new knife in two ways. First of all, this is a design that's been out for a few years, but one that I really wanted to get my hands on, and I got this one courtesy of my viewer, Jeremy. Thank you very, very much for sending this along to me. Very interesting timing that I happened to get it when I got it. About 3 weeks ago, I was watching YouTube and this came up as the next video, and I've always been kind of interested in the Marksman, but it kind of came out before I really got into knives. But I know a lot of people really, really like it. But this isn't something you expect to see from Buck, a kind of a mid to high-end EDC folding knife. 115 bucks these go for. It just wasn't something I think of when I think of Buck. I usually think of something, like the 110, they're more classic kind of designs. So it wasn't something that was really super my radar, but that video came up and I watched it and I thought, wow, that's a really interesting knife. Maybe I should get one of those. I watched a few videos on it, kind of thought about it, never pulled the trigger on one because of this unique lock system, which I'll explain in a minute. And then on my live show, Sunday night, I did the thing I usually do, or not usually do, often do. You guys can give suggestions about my next review knife. If I agree with you, you win a little prize. And this came up again. And I think I said at the time on the chat, yeah, I have been thinking about one of those, but it's not a new design. And as a knife reviewer, you want to get stuff that's new and, people are really going to want to see reviews of. This has been out for a while. But this guy, Jeremy, emailed me right after the show and said, hey, I got one. Do you want to borrow it? And I was like, absolutely, I do. So thank you so much for putting it in my hands because it is a very intriguing design. I can see why people like it so much. It is a very cool knife. The most unique thing about it is this is a G&G Hawk, Grant and Gavin Hawk collaboration design with Buck, and it has this cool SLS lock system on it, which is basically this back strap which grabs a little tang on the blade and holds it in place. Pretty neat, pretty easy to work. You just move this thing sideways and it falls right shut. Super smooth, very fall shutty, cool performance. It's just a really cool knife, and I'm very glad to have gotten my hands on it. Let's get into the specs before we go too much farther into this. We have an overall length 8 1/4 inches, blade length of 3.5 inches, blade thickness is 0.12 inches, handle thickness 0.48, and a weight of 4.2 ounces. So not too bad. Now you'd call a lightweight, but not heavy by any means. Do some size comparisons here, and then we'll move on. Put it up against your PM2, one of our standards. You can see very similar size to the PM2. And if you're looking at a base model PM2, pretty similar in price too. I think the base one's like 130, 135. This is 115, so pretty close there also. And we will compare it to the Benchmade 940. A little bit longer and obviously much more kind of robust than that. Random cat hair, that's a thing in my house now. All right, and lastly, we'll put it between two other Spyderco. Since I have the pair now, I'll probably be using these as comparisons a lot. It is right between size between your Spyderco Delica and your Spyderco Endura. All right. Now let's talk about the design and the looks and the quality and stuff of this, the general overview things of this knife. Very good materials. You got aluminum handles. Some people don't like aluminum scales. They don't bother me that much. I admit they do get beat up. This one already is just a tick. I don't know how much it was carried before, but it's got a few little rub marks on it. But 154 cm steel, very good steel on the blade. And not just any 154 cm, it does have the Boss heat treat, which is very good. He does an excellent job. And 154 cm it's fine for 115 bucks anyway. And with the Boss heat treat makes it even just that little bit better. Yeah, this nice, this stainless steel here on the back strap, or whatever you want to call that. That's what I'm going to choose to call it for this. Nice deep carry pocket clip. I think it's a very cool looking design, even if it didn't have this unique lock. I think it's a very attractive looking knife for sure. And I really like it. And quality wise, pretty good. No real glaring things that are wrong with it. Nothing sharp that shouldn't be. These are pretty sharp, but they're supposed to be. We'll talk more about that later. They may be sharper than you'd like. Blade centering, pretty good. It's a little off. It's not horrid. I did try to adjust a little bit, and I could get it a little bit better than that, but I like it. I decided to favor it being a bit off to one side, so it was really super fall shutty because I like that about it. All the screw quality seems pretty good. It's for 115 bucks. It's about what you'd expect. I have no glaring issues with it for 115 bucks. That blade centering thing's a little off. If I tore it apart and really messed with it, I could probably get it better, but I just did a couple quick adjustments. I haven't torn this fully apart yet or anything. But other than that, not bad at all. Talking about the blade, it is, as I said, 154 cm, and it's very good 154 cm. It has an excellent heat treat on it. Not too thick behind the edge, about 22 thousandths behind the edge. It's not screaming slicey thin behind the edge, but it's good enough, and it has a nice hollow grind. It's a pretty good slicer. It's not bad at all. I don't know if this was sharpened or not before I got it. It's very sharp right now, and it works great. One of my favorite things about this blade shape is, well, two of my favorite things, I guess. I do like it's got a lot of flat and just a little bit of belly. It's your kind of classic drop point style blade shape, but I do like how robust the tip is on it. This is one thing that I think it's got over the PM2 for days, is it does have a nice, good, robust tip that you can actually do some stuff with and not worry about snapping it off. Really do like that. Excellent blade design. One thing I don't like about the blade, and I guess I could have put this in when I was talking about the aesthetics, I don't like this Buck USA thing on it. That's a bit much. I would rather just have that little Buck Anvil logo up here. I know it's a Buck. I bought it. I'm aware. This I don't mind, actually. I don't mind the G&G Hawk collaboration and the Boss 154 cm, because those are both kind of cool things. That's kind of something cool to have that's braggy on the blade, but the Buck logo I'd rather just have right here. I don't need all that Buck USA stuff. It's nice that it's made in the USA. It's nice to be proud of that, but they could have done it smaller. Ergonomically, not bad at all. I was kind of wondering with this strap, because I know I saw in other reviews, as I said, I watched a lot about this being rough, but you don't feel it at all when you're carrying it. When you're gripping it, you're not on that jimping at all, so it's fine. The pocket clip, no hot spot whatsoever. Can't feel it at all. And this jimping does work well. What I like about it is when you are jabbing into something, you can kind of, instead of holding it like this, you move your finger to the side and you can use that jimping, which is really nice. This milling back here works well to hold your fingers in. And again, my long, skinny fingers, it fits my hand perfectly well. I really, really do like it ergonomically. It's a very, very comfortable knife. Carry, mostly good. It has two issues. The first one not being that bad. This milling does, when you put it in your pocket, there is kind of a little bit of a stop here. You got to give it another shove. But once you get in there, nice deep carry clip. It's not particularly wide in the pocket, pretty easy to get your hand past, all that stuff. Flipper tab doesn't stick out too much. But if you have anything else in your pocket with this, it's going to get chewed up. Because this jimping here that they feel you need to use the lock properly, it's pretty serious jimping. Also, on the flipper tab, there's some pretty serious jimping there. Anything else you have in your pocket alongside this is going to get chewed up. It is definitely a pocket grinder. So just keep that in mind. Don't put anything like, your phone screen. If you have like an expensive vintage Zippo or something, don't put it in there with it. It's going to get scratched up. But the party piece on this knife is definitely the deployment. It is super cool, and it's the reason why the guy offered me to do a trade on this, and I'm going to do it because I do want to keep this around because it's just fun. There is no detent per se on this. It's just got this, the way the back strap works in here. You can adjust the tension on it. There is a little tiny Allen screw here and two slightly larger Allen screws up here. You can play with those and adjust it. I'm not going to get into all the details about that. My friend Zelric has done a bunch of videos about the Buck 110. The Buck Case 110, I have the 110 on my brain. The Buck Marksman. And I will link down below to his instructional video about how to adjust it because it's excellent. And I watched that and did some adjustments on this one myself. And it was dialed in pretty good when I got it. Now it's even better. So I would link to that down below. Excellent video. If you're interested in one of these, definitely watch it. But once you have it dialed in the way you want, I guess the detent, as you would call it, is pretty light. It does rock it right out, though. When I first got this, I could shake it open. Now I can shake it open if I really want to hurt my elbow level of shaking it open, but it's going to stay shut in most everything. But when you lift that lock, it just drops shut, and it is so smooth. This makes like a Benchmade Axis lock seem like a Swiss Army knife in smoothness. I mean, it's crazy smooth. That may be a bit of an exaggeration, but I am prone to hyperbole. Another nice thing about it, has that hole there in the blade is completely functional. Super easy to spidey flick, super easy to thumb flick. If you want to open it quietly, you can just thumb roll it, because it is a loud knife when you're flicking it open. With the aluminum is always a bit more echoey than anything else, and just the little clang that this back strap makes. So if you want to listen to this, yeah, you can hear it. It's kind of loud. Doesn't bother me, but if you want to open it quietly in public, you can just use that little thumb hole. But the action on it is just so much fun. It's really cool. So what is my conclusion here? Is obviously I really like it. I'm going to swap for it, and I'm going to keep it. It's good blade steel, good blade shape, very fun lock, not horribly expensive. It's not cheap by any means, but if I bang it up, whatever. I'm not going to worry about it too much. And it's from Buck, which is just so unexpected. I mean, this came out a few years ago, so, and Buck does make some pretty good EDC kind of folders, but still, I know this has been out for a while, but I still can't believe Buck made it. It just seems odd. G&G Hawk, great guys. This is not the only unique lock they make. They also designed the Chris Reeve tie lock, which is extremely unique. Kind of a similar concept, but it actually locks up here on the blade. That was a very cool knife. But it's just a very cool design that I'm very glad that Buck made. Great blade, fun deployment, and made in the USA. So that's not always my highest priority, but it is, it's nice when stuff is. So very, very cool knife. Very glad that I got my hands on it. Thanks a lot, Jeremy. I do truly appreciate it. And on a side note, if you guys ever want to send me stuff to review you think I'd be interested in, please email me first, sliceyDicey75@gmail.com. And there's my P.O. box down below. But I don't check that all the time, so don't send stuff just there without talking to me first. And it may be something I reviewed that you don't know, and then I have to ship it back to you, and we're just wasting each other's money. So email me first, but I do very much appreciate anything you guys think that's cool and unique that you'd like to either see me review or just think that I should see. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've enjoyed experiencing this knife. Have a good one.